Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another Monday this and that video where I talk about all kinds of different topics, sometimes answering questions that may have come in the past week, giving you updates of various things going on or whatever else I feel like talking about. So let's get to the topics of today, starting off with storing cheese. Now, it's not that I've never talked about this quite a few times. However, I did get a question in my last live show, and I didn't see it during the live show itself, so I figured I'd answer that here. And that is, do I store cheese? Well, yes, I do, and I store it in several different ways. So what you'll see here in this jar, back in the early days of me starting to put up extra food besides what I was canning and whatnot, I used to get some freeze-dried products from Honeyville. And so right in here is freeze-dried grated cheddar, and it is really, really good. When I open, because they're number 10 cans, when I'd open a can, I would take that and then divide it up into quart jars and then vacuum seal it so it would stay fresh. That way I didn't have to work through the whole can. Well, that was one of the things I did too. It's like, well, I want to find out, it was kind of expensive. I want to find out if I'm going to like this before I consider ordering more. I liked it enough. I ordered several more cans that are in long-term storage, along with their freeze-dried mozzarella. Now, I haven't purchased anything like that since, but I have plenty on hand. It can be rehydrated, or it can be added to sauces and stuff and rehydrated that way. But it is actually a really tasty snack as is, which is why I put it away so I couldn't get to it. But easily enough, and then keep the rest vacuum sealed in jars. I have 2 jars like this from the last can I'd opened, and they've been in there, well, this has been in there since 2018, it looks like. Then the other thing I've done is I've also dehydrated up like cheddar that I bought, and then I have a video on this on how you can make your own cheddar powder, and you can do this with any kind of cheese that is a harder type cheese like that. Mozzarella would also be a good one because it has less fat than cheddar, so it would dehydrate up even easier. Whereas with the cheddar, you do kind of got to blot it and take some of the excess oils out while it's, when you go to dry it. But what I found to get the best flavor was to wax the cheese and leave it for about 6 months, and then take it out and dehydrate it, because that would make it sharper. Because once you remove, because you got to take some of that fat out, blot some of that fat out during the drying process, and that does remove some of the flavor, but having a sharper cheese will give it a better flavor for a powder that you can use in making macaroni and cheese, or just adding straight to your eggs to make a cheesy omelet or something. And then I do also buy from Azure Standard, I get their Rumiana organic cheese, and I freeze that. You can get the big blocks, which I used to get, but found I actually prefer, it doesn't cost me that much more to get the individually wrapped 8-ounce blocks. And so I've been doing that more recently, and that makes it easier. But if you get the big, like 5-pound blocks, you can cut those into smaller pieces and then freeze them however you want. So yes, I do put up cheese. And then another thing I do is I'll buy cheese, like Azure Standard. I thought I had a bag around here, but they do have a cheese powder, a cheddar cheese powder. I believe they do. I'm pretty sure I bought it. And I bought other types of cheese powders, like from Hoosier Hill. I have a white cheddar powder. The thing I don't like about that one is really salty. And then I also have a cream cheese powder, which is pretty good, and other things like that. So Anthony's Goods, Judy's, these 2 places in Hoosier Hill all have different cheese powders that you can get, and they're all on Amazon. And then Azure Standard's been getting more and more of that kind of stuff too. So I did recently do a video on dairy powders and how to use them, and I'll link to that video in the description box down below if you'd like to check that out. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention was I've been getting more and more regular, or doing more regular orders through Azure Standard. My last order, I finally thought to look to see if they had organic grits, because it's kind of hard to find a good quality organic non-GMO grits, which I love grits, and haven't been able to spoil myself with them much because it's hard to find one, especially for a good price. And Azure Standard has a really excellent price on their on their organic non-GMO grits, and they are so good. These are the best I've had. So I did get myself a couple of 5-pound bags, and probably on my next order, I'm going to order a couple more bags because I think they only had the 5-pound, or I'd get a bigger bag. And then I'll put them up for longer term storage. So vacuum sealing in jars or storing in buckets, in Mylar or whatever. Typically, I try to keep them in the bag that they're in, and then put it maybe in a Mylar bag and then in a bucket if I'm talking long-term storage. Then another new purchase I've done, this wasn't from Azure, this was actually from Misfits Market, and I couldn't believe I saw these. I haven't even thought to try to look for these. But when it comes to doing like fried stir fries of any kind, you know, be it a rice or some kind of noodle or something, I love to add water chestnuts. And I haven't done it in years. And then Misfits Market, I saw these. And they're organic sliced water chestnuts. And I don't think I've ever seen organic ones before, though I haven't looked at my local store just because I haven't thought to look for them. So when I saw those, and I realized they're about the same price I used to pay for water chestnuts non-organic at our store, I went ahead and bought 4 jars. I haven't tried them yet, but I feel pretty confident I'm going to like them. So I need to do a stir fry soon, and I'll probably be stocking up on more of those. Then I also wanted to bring up the rhubarb powder again. So, you know, with trying to get some of the last of the apples that we're not giving away off our tree, I've been also making, spoiling Mr. Rain by making him some apple pies. I plan to do another one today if all goes well. But one of the things I like to add to the apple pie is my dehydrated and powdered rhubarb. And I can do that in place of lemon. It just adds a little more flavor, and boy, is it good. It just adds another little power punch of flavor. And I put in about up to a 1/4 cup of the rhubarb powder. So I'm getting low from all the pies I've made over the past year. And I have some rhubarb that I dehydrated last year that I'm going, actually this one's from 2020. This one's from 2023. So I'm going to go ahead and powder these up so I can top my jar off here. In fact, I'll probably only fill the jar up to here. So I'm going to go dig around and see if I have more rhubarb pieces I've dehydrated. Because, boy, it is so good in apple pies. You can add it to crisps or anything you want. But that is, besides making some homemade wine out of my rhubarb fresh, this is going to be the #1 way I use the rhubarb from now on. Is just drying it, powdering it, and then adding it to whatever I want to get that tart flavor when you're just, you know, something you would use, typically add lemon to bring a flavor out. You can use rhubarb. We don't have lemon trees around here in Rain Country, but we can grow rhubarb like nobody's business. And then another thing I got to cover again, I know some of you are going to get tired of hearing it, but there's always somebody that misses this when it comes to wine and mead making. Well, I'll explain the airlock, but somehow a lot of people miss the fact you have to add water to your airlock. So it happens frequently that I'll have people email me or comment on videos and saying, help, my wine, my mead is not bubbling. And they'll give me all these things. Please tell me what I'm doing wrong. And they'll explain all this stuff. And my first question that comes to my mind, did you put water in your airlock? No, I didn't. Was I supposed to? Yes, that is the purpose of the airlock. So I'm going to put a couple of clips here that will show what an airlock looks like. This is the airlock I have. There's a couple of different styles out there. But the airlock is going to be totally without water in there. You're going to have complete oxygen exposure to your wine and your mead. You don't want that, otherwise they're going to turn to vinegar. So the purpose of the airlock is to lock the air out. That's why you have to add the water to it. But you might be thinking, well, why not just put a cork on there? Well, because you also have to allow the gases to escape. Otherwise, it'll blow the cork off during the process of fermenting because it's producing gases. So with the airlock, you've got the water in there. They even give you a fill level on there to add the water to. You just fill it from the top. And then the gases will go out through the airlock, but the air can't get back in down into your jug or your carboy, so that it won't turn it to vinegar during the process, because it takes approximately the same amount of time to make wine as it does vinegar, 30 days, but it's that last 2 weeks is really crucial for vinegar to get that oxygen exposure, for it to turn to vinegar, and then for wine, for it to continue to get stronger and become a wine or mead. Mead is simply, if you don't know what that is simply honey wine. But it's always referred to as mead because the main ingredients are just water and honey, and you can add a starter if you want. Sometimes you don't really need to if it's raw honey, because it will typically ferment on its own, but I always do use a starter. So if you'd like more information on how to make your own wine or mead, I'll link to my full playlist in the description box down below. And then I want to address this one again. I get this one a lot, and most people are pretty rude about it, but I'm going to go ahead and address it because it just came in again this morning, where somebody's listening to my videos where I'm talking about herbs. Yes, herb is spelled with an H. However, here in the States, the H is silent. And the reason why is because it comes from the Old French herbe, E-R-B-E, which is now spelled H-E-R-B-E in French. However, the H is still silent. So the word herb actually comes from the Old French. It doesn't come from English. So in America, most of us were taught to drop the H just like you do in honest, air, and honor, and other such words. But I do realize there's at least places in the UK that pronounce the H. That's totally fine. That's the way you were raised to do it. And I'm not going to be rude and try to correct you on it because that's what's proper for that area. Just remember that no matter what the language is, there's English-speaking countries all over the world, and they all have their own different ways of pronouncing certain words. That is proper for where they are from. And nobody should be making somebody else feel stupid or cussing at them or calling them names simply for pronouncing it the way they do. I don't correct people in the UK for saying aluminium instead of aluminum, because that is the way it's properly pronounced there. But here, it's not. It can be confusing if you don't know what that means, you've never heard it before, but I find it kind of cool how diverse we can be. It doesn't make one person wrong or right. You'll see the same thing in any other language, especially a language that covers a broad amount of countries, such as Spanish. The way that people speak Spanish in Argentina has a lot of differences than the way it's spoken in Mexico or even Spain. So that's just part of the diversity of our different people groups all around the world. And so we got to learn to be a little more accepting and understanding and just appreciate our differences rather than trying to make people feel stupid and small because they don't say or do things the way we do. And then the other thing I wanted to say before I close out this video is that I do get a lot of people that are so kind and friendly, but it seems like when I really need it the most, without having to say a word, there's somebody that specifically comes in and just takes that time to really be thankful and appreciative and take notice of the hard work that goes into creating my videos, my posts, whatever it is. And it always seems to come at just the right time when I need it most, because just like anyone else, I get frustrated, I get discouraged, I have days where I just feel down. And I just want you guys to know that how much I really appreciate that, especially lately when it comes to my channels, both on YouTube and on Rumble. It's really, I'm putting in so much work just to not see much going on there. And actually on YouTube, just seeing so many of my subscribers just being wiped out. I mean, it's like been crazy. I'd like to think they're just removing a lot of spam accounts, but I've had many people tell me, nope, I was unsubscribed. And it's like, okay, the bots are probably just going crazy, but it's just been worse than ever in the whole time I've had my channel in the whole over 8 years, like 8.5 years now. And I've never seen it this bad. And so it does start to eat at a person when you see this happening. You see your analytics still just keep going down and down and down, despite the hard work that you put into both Rumble and YouTube. I've seen the same things happen on Rumble. Well, similar things. I don't know if subscribers are being removed, but I'm seeing other analytics drop, and I don't understand why. And maybe some of it is simply people being caught up in the more in politics and all that kind of stuff, and which is understandable. But my point in saying all that is there are days that it's like I work so hard, and I see these things happening regardless of how hard I work. and I get discouraged. And then I've got people that come in and are so grateful and kind and polite. And I appreciate it so much. I just want to make sure you guys know that. I may not always have time to comment back, but I give you a heart. I hope you know that means I do appreciate that. And some people send me emails or written letters even doing the same thing. Again, I don't always think to get on here and publicly thank everyone, but I'm doing it now. Please understand how much that really does mean to me, and thank you for that. So I hope you enjoyed my this and that for the week, and any links I have, don't forget I'll be putting them in the description box down below. And if I forget something, let me know and I'll make sure I get it down there. And any thoughts, ideas you'd like to share, please put them in the comments down below. Remember, all your comments, they do help give our channels a boost, your likes, your shares, all that kind of stuff. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.